Who do I want to see? It would be Brock, who I think it'll probably be based on the fact that I literally just forgot that he was the backup quarterback. It'll probably be Karsten Beck.
Welcome to My Got It Podcast. I'm Jim Wood. In this episode, John Powell and I preview Georgia's 2021 home opener with UAB, and we also answer questions from you, our listeners. Please know we recorded early this week, so we were not aware that JT Daniels may be injured, even though it may have sounded like it in the cold open. And while recording, we caught wind of what was at the time called a COVID spike within the Georgia team. However, Kirby has now cleared this up, and it sounds like all of those cases had already been identified prior to the Clemson game. So as you're listening, please forgive the Munsoning. Now, let's join the conversation in progress. So back at it for week 2.
We're back.
We're back. Do we have the UAB Blazers, Alabama Birmingham Blazers, who were briefly a defunct college football program?
The formerly defunct Blazing Dragons.
Yeah. So are they the Blazers or are they the Dragons? Because everything that I've seen does say Blazers.
Yeah. Yeah, they're for sure the Blazers, but man, that's a cool logo.
Yeah. I do like the logo. When we were doing our season preview, we did talk about like how many years have they been back. So I did go look that up, and I don't remember what I said, but I know it was wrong. I think I said they've been back 3 years, but so this is their 5th year back. So 2014 was when they shut it down, but they came back. They came back in 2017. So, so I think that would make this year 5. So back for 5 years. My fun fact, my tidbit, this is about all I've got, is that UAB folding their program in 2014 did give us Jake Gaines, UGA, Georgia Bulldog. Because if you recall, like all the UAB players were able to transfer wherever. Mm-hmm. And Jake Gaines came over and played at Georgia in 15 and was actually a pretty good player for us. I mean, he started. He was
a good player.
Yeah. So
yeah, he's a linebacker, right?
Yep, he was a linebacker. Yep.
Like a middle linebacker, as I recall.
Yeah, he was good. Like I remember he had he had some really big games. Had a big pick in one of our earlier games that year, like in the end zone, if I'm remembering that right. I'm not like I haven't looked at any of this stuff. This is that's how I remember it. So yeah, man. Let's see. I went on on Georgia football, on Georgia Dogs, just kind of looking at the history with them. So,
oh man,
do you know how many times we've played them before?
I'm gonna throw a dart against the wall and say 4 times.
Okay, I won't guess because I know because I looked it up. But you went over. We've only played them twice.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like all right. So did we play them? All right. So here, I feel like the time that we played them. Then wait. So we've played them twice previously. So this will be the third time we've played them. Okay.
Correct. Yep.
So one of those times I feel like was one of those like classic Mark Richt era games where we were struggling with them through halftime and then pulled away late. Mm-hmm. I feel like we had one of those games back in I don't know, maybe like 2013 or something like that. I don't know. It might have been when I was in school. It might have been when I was in school.
So so we did play them once when you were in school, and that was actually the first time we ever played them. It was right after I graduated. So 2003.
That's probably the game that I was thinking of where we struggled with them.
We struggled with them big time, and we actually never even really pulled away. We only won that game by 3 points.
No. There you go.
It was.
I was at that game, Jim, because I remember I was up in the fraternity section of Sanford Stadium, and it was like, oh my gosh, are we really going to lose this game? It sucks. I think it was like 1,000 degrees.
I was at that game too, and that was I was out of school, so I was in the seats that I still sit in today. But I was definitely at that game. Yeah, we were like, I I had it up earlier today. I think we were actually losing at one point in that game. It was like, but it was I think it was tied like 10-10 at halftime, and we won 16-13. Um, I don't know. From my memory, I seem to recall like Pollock made a big play late or something to seal the game, which is kind of crazy in hindsight. Uh, the other one I definitely didn't go to. I do remember. I remember watching the other one on TV. Um,
Okay.
so that one was in 2006, uh, and that one was so that was the year my oldest daughter was born. So that that was like the like you're a real adult now, and you have kids, and you can't just go to every football game anymore. Was that season for me?
Right.
I remember we watched that game actually at I was going to say Taco Mac, but it wasn't Taco Mac. It was some other sports bar in Alpharetta or Roswell somewhere, because that game was on. So Sign of the Times, that game was on pay per view. Actually, in the days before the SEC network, when we used to have games on pay per view sometimes. Remember we had to we went to a sports bar to watch River, but we won that one comfortably, but it was 34-0. But I do feel like it was still similar where it was like close for a long time. We pulled away at the end, and that was with Stafford. I think that was Stafford's first start, I believe, was that
Okay.
game. So, because I think we were coming off that South Carolina win when Tarashinsky III got hurt, and then Stafford started the next few games, and then didn't become the full time starter until a bit later in the season. But yeah, so yeah, those are the only two times we played him. I When I went to look that up, I thought it was going to be more than that. I was surprised that it was only twice. So
They're just surprising. I mean, like I said, I thought it was a couple other times. Although, I mean, we don't really play too many of these teams that are in that kind of category of caliber of teams super
yeah,
often.
yeah, yeah. A couple of things not specifically related, but just news and notes. Sorry, not specifically related to UAB, but just some other news and notes. One of these I should have brought up when we reviewed the Clemson game. But
Yep.
this one was a good one from ESPN Stats and Info, that in only allowing 3 points against Clemson, it tied for the second fewest points allowed versus a top 10 opponent in the AP poll era.
hmm
Uh, since 1936 for Georgia. Sorry, so second
I
fewest
think
points for Georgia since 1936.
there's some other stuff from my notes that we didn't talk about from that game that kind of along those same lines. It was the first time that Clemson was held scoreless in a half
Yeah,
since
yeah,
2010 or something like that. Was a graphic I think that they popped up on the broadcast that I rewatched.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely
yeah.
not definitely not a scoring frenzy.
No, no, it was not. And the other thing we didn't get a whole lot into a whole lot about, like, what did that win mean or not mean. And my line is kind of like, actually in the post game, what I think Kirby said something along the lines of, I'll tell a team the same thing I would have if we lost, which is that everything's still in front of us. The interesting thing is Heather Dennis said that no team has reached the college football playoff after losing its season opener since the college football playoff began in 2014. So, to say everything was ahead of us, I still think that would have been correct, but nobody's ever done it in the playoff area. So definitely good to get a win.
That is
Um,
interesting that's the trend, and also everybody was saying it doesn't matter. Clemson can lose this game and still get into the playoff. So like
yep.
something's gonna break.
Yeah, I mean, everyone was saying that about Georgia too. I feel like everyone was kind of saying, it's a high profile matchup, two top five teams. The loss doesn't end your season. So yeah, we'll see for Clemson, because I do fully expect them to run the table, but
Yeah.
I will see. We'll see. And the bit of a downer on the news and notes is around Tate Radledge. So, Radledge was the starting right guard against Clemson, but went down, I mean, really early. I know, again, like we were talking about like the difference between being in the stadium versus, watching on TV. I certainly didn't realize that he went out that early. I know we caught wind of it at some point, from where we were sitting in the stands. We knew it had happened, but I didn't realize it had happened that early
There was
in the
there
game.
was some guy that was sitting behind us that mentioned it, and I looked up at you and I was like, "Ratledge is out," and you were like, "What?"
Yeah, yeah. So like I went to the Twitters and was able to confirm it, but that was about all I knew. But yeah, so
It was
apparently,
like one of the first few plays of the game.
it was like the first drive. Um, but yeah, so unfortunately, had a foot injury and he has to have surgery and will be out for the season. So hate that for him. I don't know. He's a Georgia kid from Rome, and another great hair and great facial hair guy. I appreciate these things. Had worked really hard and was on that starting front five. So best wishes for Tate. Hopefully he can get healthy and get back. I know we've got other guys with foot injuries, and Kirby did talk about that what he has is very different from, say, a Tyke Smith or a Darnell Washington, where we're expecting them to come back. Not the same case for Tate, unfortunately.
Man, that one hurts for sure because we need as many of those guys throughout the season as possible, and to have someone go out that early, and then you don't
Yep.
even like you instantly are not playing with a full deck of cards on your offensive line, but at the same time, teams like you want to be the man, you got to beat the man, you want to be the man, you got to play like the man, that kind of thing. Like,
Yep.
well, yeah, it's time for us to reload.
Yeah, and so what I did rewatch of the game. So it looked like what we did was we basically so Van Pran started at center, which is what we were expecting with Erickson's injury. But it looks like Erickson actually came in and played right guard. So that's at least what we did in the game. So we ended up going with Salyer at left tackle, Schaefer at left guard, Van Pran Granger at center, and then like I said, Erickson at right guard, and then McClendon at right tackle. So I know, again, like we were curious to see kind of how we would roll with the offensive line. So I would guess that would continue, but we'll see.
That reminds me, there's somebody on Twitter that posted something about Sawyer, like just throwing a grown man to the ground, like just one arm is like, whew, gone.
Yeah, yeah.
I have a feeling we're going to see some more of that with UAB for sure, and it's going to be more. Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping that we can exercise some demons, so to speak, with the Blazers coming to town. I think that everyone is expecting the offense to perform and to function like we were all expecting and put up 30, 40 points. And I think that at this point now, the expectation is even higher for the defensive side than preseason. Because I think I think I mentioned it, just bend, don't break kind of mentality.
Yeah.
But like at this point, and also looking at some of the film that I saw, they played Louisiana, right? So they played the Raging Cajuns, I think.
No, they played Jacksonville State.
Oh, Jacksonville State. Sorry. Who played Louisiana? Someone played Louisiana. I don't know. Anyway, totally wrong on that one. But the team that they played, they played Louisiana last year. Sorry, that was my mistake. But yeah, I don't know. The team that they played obviously is not going to be at the caliber that the University of Georgia is. I imagine that their offensive line is not going to be nearly as big and as strong as Clemson's, and I know that their defensive front is definitely not going to be anywhere near on par as Clemson was. So I think that objectively everyone is expecting the offense to do the things that we were all expecting it to do in preseason times. And now that we've seen them perform against a what is he, like third most likely candidate for Heisman Trophy or whatever based on the odds, but like having seen us manhandle him as well, I have a feeling that we're going to be expected to get to the quarterback even more so, if that's possible.
Yeah. So, reminder, mental note for over under when we get to the end of the episode. When we get to our predictions, but yeah, I mean, totally. I mean, they cannot. They being UAB cannot be happy with what they see when they turn on the film, when they watch film this week to prepare for this game. I'm sure their offensive linemen. I don't think they're. I would imagine they're not going to like what they see when they look at that tape. And I do. I'm kind of mad at myself. I totally because so they actually had advantage for them. They are coming off of more rest than us. So they were one of the first games of week 1. So they didn't have the week 0, but they played Wednesday last week, I believe.
Right.
And I meant to watch that. I meant to watch that and do some scouting. But full disclosure, I did not. I totally forgot. So I did not see that. I did not watch the Blazer game and scout it. I whiffed on that. But yeah, I don't know. I would agree, and I would say like on our offense, we thought we were going to find out, right? Like, can we keep up with a high-powered offense last week? And it was a defensive struggle. So I don't know really what we found out about our offense, other than I think that we're missing some guys. Meaning, obviously they were out, but then we missed them as well. I don't know, I don't know how much we're going to learn about it this week, because even if the offense blows up, the narrative will be, the competition. But you can only play who's in front of you, right? So I agree, and like with the veteran receivers gone, I don't know. I mean, the schedule definitely lines up well for us, right? So with this stretch that we've got of UAB, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, right? Hopefully, it can be some kind of, I don't know, good medicine for the offense, right? To bounce back, hopefully. So
we definitely need something. I don't know if it's injection in the offensive line. I would like to see us go out and execute our routes perfect. So like, I don't want to see wide receivers running into each other into the back of the end zone like we saw last time.
right. Yes.
I don't want to see deciding to run a zone play right up the middle with Kenny McIntosh in the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see the offensive staff dial up a naked bootleg for a guy that has clearly had issues with his knee and stuff. So having a team that's executing at a high level would be the expectation I feel like that we should all have at this point, is because we need to have dominant run averaging 5-6 yards of carry against these guys. We need to have completions at the yin yang, 75 plus percent completion percentage, that sort of thing is kind of what I feel like is expected of this squad at this point.
Yeah, I mean, something that has generally been frustrating for me, like in years past, right, is if you come into a game like this, but then like there's no push on the offensive line, like I want to see that. Like I would like to see some gaping holes, and then let's see what our 5 backs can do with those holes, right? Because I mean, frankly, there was not a lot of running room for the guys against Clemson, and the hope is that was due to their defensive prowess. I will say, when there were holes, I think the guys did run through them and they did take advantage of them, especially Zamir White, right? So the huge run at the end of the game Whereas Scott Howard said he threw dirt on the guy. That
Mm-hmm.
one he had a really nice one in the first half as well, where he had we got to see some patience, where he kind of waited for the hole to open, and then he hit that
Mm-hmm.
hole, and made a guy miss. Um, so that was that was really good. But yeah, I just want to see that want to see a good push from the offensive line, which again with no Ratledge, right? I think it's I don't know if I would say even maybe I'll say even more important, right? That we can hope to see that with the guys that we know will have for the remainder of the season. Also interesting to see could we see Mims come in? Could we see some of the depth and flex some of that a bit? So yeah, I would expect to see a bunch of different guys in there that maybe we didn't see last week. Which again, like watching from the stands, I would have had any idea. I looked at the participation chart. I did not see Mims on there. I looked for him. So as far as I know, I don't believe he got in the
I'm
game last
hoping
week. So we could maybe
that
see his debut here.
I'm hoping that they have all of the issues ironed out on the offensive side for sure. The wide receivers, I'm hoping that they figured out how to best utilize James Cook, because I feel like that he should be a player that gets the ball in open space quite a good bit more. I'd also think that in order for the defense or for the offense to have such a dominating performance on the ground, that needs to start with our running backs running plays closer to home. So, like, in order to break free on some of these zone runs and things like that, like, we got to get a good push on the offensive front. I like to see them not run Kenny McIntosh up the middle again.
You're not gonna let that go.
I'm not gonna let it go. I'm not gonna let it go. The
Hey,
only
I
running
like.
back that the only running back that impressed me running it up the gut was Zamir White.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Again, not to repeat it. I know we said last time, but yeah, he
So
he, he solidified himself to me as the guy. But
and it's not necessarily his fault either. The Kenny's fault. And what he was asked to
yeah,
do on third down, like, you're asked to do this, like, run up to the line. We're gonna run a quick snap, and you're gonna run it through the middle. Like, okay, well, we didn't get it. I think that was Kendall Milton one time. It's like, what the heck? Like, why did we even run him out there? We have Zamir White on the sideline. Just
mm,
dude, the guy is a clutch running back on short yardage situations. He's basically a battering ram. So, like, why wouldn't we use that? So I don't know if we need short yardage gains, things like that. I want to see Zeus coming through like a bat out of Hades and just pushing people off the line so that we can get the first down on a third and short.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I agree. I mean, I don't know. Like it, I liked what I saw. I guess I liked what I saw out of Zamir. I guess I'm not worried about the running game, especially against, like we said, lesser defenses, right? But I do. I think there is room for concern right now on the. Okay, sorry, I just got distracted. All right, I got to talk about this now. So I've got the Ole Miss Louisville game on right now, and
Mm-hmm.
I took a peek, and it just said that Kirby Smart and Georgia are dealing with a COVID spike of unnamed players, and that their availability for UAB is unclear.
Oh
So
dear.
uh, that could definitely play in to this. So that would be interesting.
The COVID situation and whether or not they're going to be through. Okay,
Yeah. So like,
I see. 3 to 4 players. It sounds like.
so we'll see. But yeah, it's all undisclosed, right? so we don't know who it is.
Right.
Which I don't know. I guess maybe not shocking, especially with Corson having it last week. Hopefully, it's not spreading from there. Although I think though, like with the full team, I don't know. I guess with the vaccination numbers at least very high on our team, I don't know. I guess I'll say like first off that hopefully they're not like symptomatic and such, which I think tends to be. I don't know if you're vaccinated. It seems to be, from what I know, better there. But then hopefully that can help contain the spread as much as possible. So we'll see. So there's a factor for this game as well. Sorry, got distracted by seeing that on my TV.
Oh man, I don't know how I feel about all this.
Yeah,
it says that they've got 3 or 4 guys that are out. Like there's officially players out with COVID.
So Kirby did say that they're all players who are vaccinated, the guys that have it. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll just have to follow this week. And that's the thing too. Like I don't know if they'll even say like who it is. I mean, we'll be able to see, I guess, if there's certain guys that aren't playing. We could maybe assume it's them, but I don't know.
Right.
We'll see. But yeah, I totally missed that. That was like in his in some of his media availability today, which was in person, by the way. This was the first time they had done Georgia media availability not on Zoom since the pandemic started. So I don't know what Jeff Schultz is going to complain about these days now that that's gone, but I'm sure he'll find something.
I have a feeling that they're going to peel that back soon.
Well, yeah, true. True. All right, we can move on. You want to go? Let's talk about the defense. Although, actually, one thing I will say is, as far as offense goes, definitely want to see Brock Bowers continue his trajectory. He was definitely a bright spot against Clemson. So just add that.
Yeah, for real. I'm hoping that they, that we see Brock involved. He's something that immediately jumped out to me on the screen was that we've compared him to Isaac Nada, right? I think he's actually faster than Isaac Nada. I think he's faster than, like, easily. He's so quick. Like, I don't know if it's necessarily... That just gave me,
like, the Golden Girls Blanche, like, spritzing herself. Like, it just gave me that feeling.
So there was a couple of times where we had him in various positions where he could have made some nice gains and things like that had the pass been on the money, or had he not gotten run into by our own players, that kind of thing. He's going to be a handful all season long, and I think that he's going to really be one of the bright spots on this offense, and they're going to really free them up to do a lot more than they normally would, for sure.
Yep. Okay. Actually, yeah. So I mean, as far as the defense goes, again, I think just like continuing to wreak havoc there against UAB. I mean, we don't. Again, I would say we don't know a whole lot of them about them with their first game being against Jacksonville State, which is not a Division I team. I mean, so like their quarterback threw for 320 yards. On only he was 17 of 21 for 320 yards. So they definitely had a field day against that defense. So we'll see, right? I mean, it definitely will be different for their quarterback, who is Tyler Johnston III. So good name going for their starting quarterback. Definitely will be a tougher day.
Sounds a lot like Stetson Bennett.
Right, exactly. I wonder if they know each other. But yeah, I mean, it should definitely be more a tougher day for him. They had a receiver, Shropshire, who had 128 yards receiving. So, I mean, they had in that game, they had they had 4 guys with over 50 yards receiving. So hopefully the Georgia pass rush can continue, can stay on that same trajectory there that we saw last week. And
yeah, I think we'll be okay. I think that we just are going to out talent them for basically 4 quarters, and you like our chances in that scenario, particularly if Kirby's got them prepared from a defensive standpoint to execute at the way that we know that they can, and then we know that they can do for sure, obviously from the last game. But yeah, just perform up to your expectations and set everything up for success. So we start moving the ball, it's going to open up opportunities in the passing game, which will help with some of the confidence of some of those young guys.
Well, it's like Kirby said in his post-game interview against Clemson, you're either elite or you're not, which I still can't believe he said that. That was awesome. And I can't remember. I was behind on my timeline. Somebody pointed it out and tagged Chase, and I responded. It was like, print the T-shirts, and he was like, they're already on my site, and I was like, oh, I guess I was behind on the timeline. Sorry. So, anyways, yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree, and that's the kind of thing, right? Because you said as long as Kirby has them ready. I know we had a preseason question in our season preview around like, is UAB a trap game, right? So I mean, to me, that's the only thing there for our defense. Offense obviously is not going to be resting on their laurels after what they did against Clemson. So you just got to hope that as far as the defense, everyone can get their minds right, keep their heads right, and not be too overconfident, and still get after it the same way, regardless of who the opponent is. I mean, this is definitely one of those games where it's more, what focus on what you control, what you can control, and what you can do, and on your effort, your focus. It's one of those. It's 18 to 22-year-old kids, right? And how focused are they going to be? So I don't know.
I tend to think that the kids on the UAB side of things are going to have a tougher time for sure.
Fair enough. I know you were watching a little bit of them. Did you see anything in your? I know it was brief.
Yeah, I think that some of the things that I saw, I Clemson struggled with our defensive front seven. I think that that's going to be the storyline for every team that we play, frankly, for now until the end of the season. I don't know how they keep up with us on that side of things. So from what I saw from the Jacksonville State, moving the pocket around and things like that, I fully expect them to start moving things around so that they can't just pin their ears back and go right after this guy. So that's kind of what I saw, was just that they got absolutely shredded when people were covered sacks and things like that. Like if you're going to hold on to the ball against this defense, you better get it out quick.
Let's see. As far as special teams go, I am interested to see if, I don't know, I guess twofold. Kyrus Jackson. I'm interested to see what we do with him this week. So if he, had straight line only running, which is, Kirby said that's the reason why Kyrus didn't play offense, which is very interesting to me that and he was saying basically wide receiver and cornerback, make the biggest cuts. And so that's why they didn't want him in there. But he was back there on punts. So I don't know, like that seems kind of weird because you have to make cuts on punts. So I am curious to see if he plays at all this week. I'd love to have him back on offense, but if he's not ready for offense yet, do we give someone else, the punt return duties against not Clemson, right? Anyone other than Clemson? That'll be an interesting thing to watch for me personally. Definitely there's some other things to clean up on special teams, right? So we had the turnover on a fumble, we had the missed field goal. So we'd definitely like to see some cleaner special teams play other than those two things, though, I felt like it was good last week. So I don't have anything else other to think about that. I felt like, it I don't know, seemed to be a mostly a continuation of what we saw last year, even with Muschamp taking over as the coordinator. So
I think that
which we didn't. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought, and then I'll jump in.
I was just gonna say we didn't even really talk about like return of Muschamp. We did our Clemson review, and we didn't find I didn't see any kind of Muschamp rage stroke. So if there was one, either wasn't caught by the TV cameras or I just haven't seen it yet. But I did. There was a nice sideline shot of him, and so we did gift that. So we did get a Muschamp and I got a podcast gift, but not like the one that you were.
He's officially in.
He's back. He is back. He looks good in red. He looks good in red.
He does look good in red.
Okay, so now we can go to what you were going to say, if you remember it.
I don't actually remember it. I think that the biggest thing is that defense good, offense maybe. In the defense we trust. Do we really think that UAB is going to be able to hang with us on the defensive side of the ball for 4 quarters, regardless of what's going on? Probably not. I mean, I think that if you were a betting man, that would be a poor bet to bet against the University of Georgia in that.
Yeah, agreed.
So,
I don't know.
What's the line? What's the line on it?
What's the line on the game?
26. So they're giving almost 27
let me refresh.
points.
I had it at 26.5 last I saw, but
26.5.
Okay. Ooh, now it's at 26, so it did move. It moved while we were recording.
Okay.
It opened up a little bit bigger from what I understand. I forget what it was. It opened at like maybe 29 or 28, and then it went down a little bit.
Then it went down after everybody saw how terrible our offense was.
No, it opened at that like yesterday or this morning or whatever, and then it got bet down, I believe.
I'm sure there was obviously first week hangover. It's like, all right, let's dial this back.
Well, it's like, you're never as good as you think you are after a win. You're never as bad as you think you are after a loss. And then here, we won, but people are tending to be down on the offense. And I just tend to think they're probably not as bad as we saw. Right. I think Clemson's defense was really good, right? And we've got some green guys, I'll say, and we've got some guys that are just getting back to everything, like Burton, like we found out today. I know we were texting about it earlier today, and you were like, "Where were these notes before the Clemson game when we were trying to make predictions?" I thought everyone was going to be full tilt. I didn't see anything about full tilt or hopeful in today's press conference, although I didn't look at it quite as closely as I usually do. So we'll see.
He's taking it to heart. He's taking your feedback to heart.
Yeah, I mean, like full disclosure, right? Like my parents stayed through Labor Day. They hung out. We watched a movie with them last night, and then we went to see Shang-Chi, and Legend of the Ten Rings, the Marvel movie today. So I didn't look at everything quite as closely as I generally do. So apologies.
Got it.
But the Marvel movie was excellent, and that was our first time going to a movie again. So since the before times. So
I don't know that I've actually had a chance to go to one just yet.
Yeah, it was fun. It was good. It was much like it was good to be back in the stadium. It was good to be back in the movie theater.
So you had to figure out why your seat cushion was so sticky.
I definitely was brought back with my shoes sticking when we got some popcorn, before, and leaving the counter, my shoes were sticking to the ground. And I was like, oh, yep, back in the movie theater.
That's awesome.
All right, you want to hit some listener questions before we get into our predictions?
Let's just run it. Let's run it back right now.
All right. So, last time, friend of the show, Tim Riley, a.k.a. Ms. Rural in Minnesota, he missed our tweet. So today I made sure to text him so he couldn't miss it. So he checks in. How many games until the run and gun offense truly arrives? Until then, we D up. So, do you think? And I think he just means explosive offense. How many games is it going to show up this game, or do you think we're going to have to wait a little bit?
I think we're gonna have to wait a little bit. It's my gut
I agree.
instinct on this.
I agree. I think we'll see. I think we'll see improvement this week, but I think it's people still won't be satisfied. I'll say it that way.
For sure.
All right. Next, we've got Chris Burnett at Bernie Dog checks in, and he asks, first, what blade height to use on Bermuda this time of year? So I'm not sure, Bernie Dog, exactly what triggered that first piece of the question, but I decided that I was going to take this question seriously. So I checked in with a buddy of mine, and let me give his credentials. So my buddy is the Charlotte Knights head groundskeeper. His name is Matt Parrott. He's been named as the International League Sports Turf Manager of the Year for 3 straight seasons, and he even has his own bobblehead. So the Charlotte Knights had a bobblehead night for him after he was named that for 3 years in a row. So he said it depends on the situation. In a high-end athletic situation, depending on the sport, you'd want to leave the grass to be a 1/2 inch to 7/8 of an inch. It's a long answer depending on if you overseed or not with ryegrass. In a home lawn or landscape setting, probably 1.5 to 3 inches, depending on the level of maintenance and desired results. So there you go, Bernie Dog. I hope that did justice to your question. Also, Jordan Davis passed DJ Ukulele. He used my same thing my dad was saying about him in Heisman rankings after Saturday, right? We love Jordan Davis. I mean, he has to be, right? I mean, he had a sack, so sack time.
Right. I'm hoping that we have a lot of sacks in this game, just like we had in the first game. That's what I'm hoping for.
All right. Let's see. We got one from Aaron King at Aaron King. Are you guys worried about our offensive line and wide receiver depth? And then he says, I'm worried about our ability to create explosive plays without our top wide receivers.
The explosive plays part of that is definitely something that worries me, but I'm hoping that we can scheme around some of that. I mean, listen, if it turns out that we got wide receivers that are planning to start out with COVID, and now we're having to dip into like the 3rd and the 4th string and pull in walk-ons and things like that into this, then I'm going to worry a lot more. Right now, I'm just a little bit worried with who the the COVID people might be, but if it's anybody on the offensive line or the wide receivers, I'm going to start worrying very, very quickly. Frankly, on the defensive backs, maybe even as well, but not quite as bad. But we've already got depth issues at offensive line. We've got depth issues at running back. So, I'm not worried about it yet. But of those areas, this definitely, those 2 areas specifically are of concern for the explosive play because we didn't have that at all.
Yeah, we didn't. I guess I feel like I guess with both of those groups, right? It's like there was a lot of depth, but a lot of that depth is youth. So that's where I'm hoping that in this game we can get some of those younger guys in, especially on the offensive line. I guess we pretty much already had the young guys in at receiver last game. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Michael Smith at Hey Michael Smith. He was at ATD Tailgate for Clemson. What is the single biggest change the offense needs to make this week? And I think we actually ended up kind of talking about that when we reviewed Clemson. So I don't know. I mean, for me, I don't even know that it's change. Well, what I said that I wanted to see us throw over attack the middle of the field more, which I think we talked a little bit offline, and from you actually rewatching the game, you felt like we actually did a decent amount of that. Um, I don't know. Again, we're hoping that JT that we could, I would say, have more time for plays to develop, because that one time, like the one time that we had a bit of a slow developing play was when JT got sacked, like the one sack we gave up. So I guess I would, again, assuming hopefully that we can, buy more time, JT. I would like to see. I guess it kind of gets back to the explosive plays, right? Like I'd like to see a bit of the deep ball. And again, with the running game, like I said, I feel like I liked what I saw, just assuming the level of competition, not the same level of defense as Clemson. I don't know that we need to change much there. I think it's just going to end up being more productive.
Yeah. All right. I'm hoping that we're able to move the ball a good bit more on this defense than we were on the previous defense, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sensing a theme. The DGD podcast checks in and says, well, this is a bit of a twist. Why should UGA fans not worry about the offense?
Why should we not worry about the offense?
Yeah.
Because we're sane human individuals and beings.
We're fans. He said fans. Fan is short for fanatic, which means we're not sane. And no, I mean, yeah. I'm interested to see. So I submitted an Ask CBC question over to Chapel Bell Curve this week, and I asked them. I'm interested to see if they can come back with anything, because I did ask them. What did I say? I said, "Is there anything in the numbers to make us feel better about the offense?" Objectively, because subjectively, my feeling was basically we played against a really good defense, and so therefore the offense will just be better as we, again, like I said, I don't think it's going to be a while before we're going to see a defense like that again. So subjectively, that's there. So I don't know. I'm interested to see what they say. I do know, like, Dog Stats replied pretty quickly and just said no. There's not anything in the numbers. So we'll see what Justin and Nathan say on that one. So yeah, go listen to Chapel Bell Curve as well. They're friends of the show. I don't know. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think that I don't know. I think the biggest worry is going to be COVID.
Yeah, we don't know. Well, we'll see, because we're sitting here on Monday, so we'll see throughout the week. I don't know, maybe we will, maybe we won't. I don't know how much of that we'll release, so we'll see. We'll see what kind of impact we got there. Next question comes in from Dog Talk at Dog Talk 20 on Twitter. They've got two questions, one serious and one fun. For the serious one, how do you feel if you're UAB coming into the doghouse after watching this weekend's game versus Clemson?
How do you feel if you... Okay, I'm probably feeling like I need to... I'm probably feeling like, wow, we can probably hang with these guys if their offense continues to blow.
Are they feeling that, though, after they're looking at our defense?
Yeah. Probably not. Yeah, no. They're looking at Nolan Smith. They're looking at Adam Anderson. They're looking at Jordan Davis. Like, good gracious, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, that's how I feel. I mean, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like their offense, I feel like their offense is not feeling great. And you know what? Maybe hopefully their defense is feeling great, and it's giving them a false sense of confidence. So. So for a fun question from Doc Talk, what's your go-to game day foods? Do you have a go-to game day?
Like how are we defining that? Just like a...
So here, let's combine this. Let's combine this, because we also had, and I put these two together. So Hambone at Hampton Huggins asked for your favorite pregame or tailgate snack.
Okay.
I'll give mine, and you can think while I state. So for mine, it is a layered bean dip. So this is
Ponda's famous bean dip.
Ponda's famous bean dip. So for the uninformed, Ponda is my mom, wife of Fripp Dog. Since apparently, like, I'm son of Fripp Dog, we can say she's wife of Fripp Dog, I guess. So it's a 7-layered bean dip. Well, you can vary the layers, but generally it's black beans with sour cream, guacamole, salsa, and cheese, and then you can add more.
Mm.
You could add some fresh tomato slices on top. You can maybe add lettuce. You can maybe add some black olives, kind of depending. So you can vary with it a bit. But so we do that. So that's a recipe we've used and modified like over the years. So I mean, I make it now as well. That's my favorite. For me, like when I think of tailgates, that's the number one thing that I think of. I mean, obviously that's more of the side kind of snack thing as opposed to the main dish, but that's what I think of. And I do it. We make it at home, right? We make it at home when we're watching a game at home. It's like, oh, there's a game, we got to make bean dip. So yeah.
Does beer or bourbon count in that question?
I don't think so.
Buffalo chicken dip is probably my go-to snack slash
okay.
food.
I do like a good buffalo chicken dip. Nice.
Mm-hmm. It's gotta have the Fritos. Gotta have the Fritos.
Oh, so you dip Fritos into the buffalo chicken dip?
Yeah, that's like my favorite.
Yeah, I can see that.
Is the Fritos and the buffalo chicken dip for sure.
Okay. See, I feel like we usually still use tortilla chips, so maybe we need to do the Fritos.
Hey man, that works too. I've used pita chips. Yeah, and all any crunchy chip is going to be good.
Let's see. Bobby Wilson checks in. Bobby is. Maybe we can like go back and forth on this one. Give me the top 5 reasons this defense is perhaps the best since 1980. I would just have to start with the pass rush.
Okay. Can you give that? Can I give the pass rush as the 5 reasons just each time? Like the pass rush, pass rush, pass rush, pass rush, pass rush.
Yeah. Because I mean, because the one thing I would, I guess, question again. Like I think we still have question marks on the secondary. So I don't know. Although I'm not as good, with rattling off all the 1980s defensive names. But I do know there wasn't there? I think they made a Scott Warner reference on the broadcast because they were like talking about Georgia Clemson days of yore. I feel like they mentioned that from one of the 80s games back then. But anyways, I digress. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I get so when you say the pass rush, I feel like you're there's multiple reasons there. So I guess I would say pass rush, but then that's coming from multiple places, right? Because we had Jordan Davis had a sack, we had the outside linebackers. So I mean, honestly, top 5 reasons we could probably just rattle off names and be like Jordan Davis, Adam Anderson, Nolan Smith, Devontae Wyatt, right? Nakobe Dean. Hey, there's 5 pretty good reasons for you right there. And then I don't know. There's obviously much more, but the front 7 I think lived up to everything we thought it would. The safeties lived up to what we thought they would. We just got to make sure that the corners continue to develop in lockdown. So
for sure.
All right, Jim Cooney at Coondog 069 checks in. He says, let's see. He wished we had a healthy team entering UAB. That hate it on the Tate Ratledge front. So apparently, I should have looked at this question closer before we recorded. Because then he also said positive COVID test for GOAT Ron Corson and now several players. So I think, Jim, we actually talked through all that earlier, unfortunately. So I needed to read the listener questions more closely. Otherwise, then I wouldn't have been as surprised when I looked up on the bottom line of the Ole Miss game and saw the report. So I think we hit all of those.
I think I was like Munsoning when I heard about the Ron Corson thing because it's like, he interacts with so many players. So,
yep, Munsoning. We're Munsoning.
I really hope that it doesn't become an issue, especially like
Yeah.
you start losing a lot of players, and then it becomes a question of, well, are we gonna be forfeiting? Hopefully not. That's like the
Yeah.
ultimate Munsoning.
Why would you even say such a thing? You can't say these things.
I can because
Don't.
I am the Munsoning person. I'm the most Munsoning person on this podcast, I feel like.
You can't put things like that out into the ether. You got to keep that to yourself. Okay, we're gonna move on.
Don't put that evil on me.
All right. At 5127 GATA, which he was the one that asked if UAB was a trap game preseason. So he said, "Am I the only one that thinks two being Kendall Milton should be getting more carries?" I'll say he's probably not the only person, but I will say that as we've talked about in both our review, and then we talked a bit in this episode as well. We actually agree with Zamir White being RB1 based on what we've seen. So, I mean, more carries, maybe the distribution is different amongst those guys. And I know Kirby did get questioned about that. And I can't remember exactly what his answer was. So maybe they get distributed differently, but I'm happy with Zamir getting the volume he's getting for sure.
Yeah, I get it. You want to like rest players and things like that, but there's also something to be said about sticking with the guy with the hot hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if Zeus is, busting off pretty decent chunks and having success, like why take him out or why suddenly just ice him and put someone else on? Put Kenny on it. Run Kenny up the gut. I keep picking on McIntosh, but like run Kenny up the gut and not do good. Flare James Cook out, and it's like, oh yeah, and we're not going to block for him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I felt like Zamir is the most capable of turning nothing into something, because
yeah.
he definitely did it towards the end of the game yesterday, and I've seen him do it previously as well. And that could just be a function of maturity too. So I'm not saying that those guys aren't going to necessarily get there, but right now, if I was the head coach, I would stick with Zamir White as long as I possibly could.
Another one from 512 in GATA. Didn't make it over to the tailgate, recognized some folks while we were all walking out of the stadium. Will there be another tailgate gathering this season? So I will say, Greg Mountain of the Seas, like I said, he organized the ATD tailgate. He's like local to Charlotte, like I am. So that was part of the driver there. Right now, I will say I don't know. we'll talk about it. I don't know because we're not even sure like what all games we will be going to. Which actually, as far as even for UAB, I think it's up in the air for me. I don't know about you. What are you? You weren't playing. You're not going to be going to UAB game, right?
I'm not planning on it. It really is largely going to depend on what Carter's soccer.
Yeah.
What he's got going on with soccer, and I think that he's got games that day.
Yeah, that's the big driver for us. Lily actually does not have a game this weekend, so I will most likely be there at this game. But
the calm before the storm.
Yeah. So I don't know. So we'll see. But noted, and we'll continue to assess throughout the season. So not sure. All right, last one we've got from friend of the show, Hunter Jones. Bud Light or Miller Light for where the tailgate turns to beer time from bourbon
time? Neither. I'm more of a Coors Light guy right now. Although I will say that it often fluctuates between Coors and Miller Lite. The other thing that I've done lately is I'll get New Belgium's new light lager. They have a light beer that actually tastes pretty good. So
from New Belgium, the Mountain Time, or is it different?
No, it's not Mountain Climb. It's what What is it called? I can't remember. I bought some of it. It's like light lager or something like that.
So I've had the Mountain Time, which I like. It's excellent, but I can never find it like by itself. It's always part of one of their like variety packs. Although, Hunter texted and I think he said that you can't he wants this like macro light beer answered. No craft beers is what he said. Because otherwise I would have said like Classic City Lager. Because that's what I would prefer. But if you're taking craft beers out, my I between those two, like generally I grew up more of Bud Light
Mm-hmm.
than the Miller Lite. So I would lean Bud Light. Although I would say, our buddy Greg came through at ATD tailgate and brought the Coors Banquet. So I would kind of go Coors Banquet because that actually hit pretty good. I like that. So I would go Coors Banquet would be my answer.
Coors
So
Banquet is a solid. That's a solid
yeah,
choice.
yeah, that's what I would go. All right, that was it for the listener questions. Let's head into our final predictions. So looking at all of the updated lines. So the spread is 26. Oh, we went back to 26 and a half. So spread's at 26 and a half. Georgia favored. And the over under is at 44 and a half.
26 points is a lot to give for this, given the fact that we haven't shown that we can sustain that. I'll take the under.
Oh, wait, hold on. We're getting ahead of ourselves. I forgot to do some random ones. Because I did say sacks. Let's set a sacks over under for Georgia defense. So we had 7 last week. What's your? I mean, are we going to hit 7 again? I feel like that's a lofty number to keep continuing to hit.
Yeah, I don't think
My dad had said it at 3 last week. Let's up it at least to 4, maybe. What's a better over under? 4.5.
Probably,
Let's set it at 4.5. Over under 4.5 sacks.
I'm gonna go under.
Okay. I
Just
can't
because I'm
push.
conservative.
Okay. I'm going to go over just to disagree because we never disagree. And then over under 1.5 Georgia quarterbacks take a snap in this game.
Probably under.
I'm going to go over. And so with that,
You think Brock gets in and someone else?
I said 1.5 over under.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I thought you said
now that you understand the question fully.
Well, for some reason I thought you were taking the over on. Yeah,
Now I'm taking over on 1.5. So I'm basically saying somebody else gets in other than JT. And I'm saying due to situational or hopefully scoring.
I would definitely go with that one.
Okay.
And I do think that we probably will see Brock.
So you think we would see Brock over Beck? That was my follow up. Is if someone else gets into the game for whatever reason, who is it?
Who do I want to see? It would be Brock, who I think it'll probably be based on the fact that I literally just forgot that he was the backup quarterback. It'll probably be Karsten Beck. But
amazing.
I feel like that everybody's clamoring for, hey, let's see what Brock's got.
Yeah,
Trot him out
think
there.
it will. Yeah. I think it would. Beck is my pick.
Yeah, he's definitely going to go with the boring route for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So sorry. I messed that up. I botched that. I didn't have those specifically write down. I thought I would remember that, but clearly I didn't. So my bad.
All good.
Okay. So so you took the under of 44.5. I'll go over again just to be different.
Okay.
And then you want to give a final score prediction? I'm not seeing maybe it's because we're so early in the week, although we record. Maybe it's because of the holiday, but I'm not seeing their score consensus on OddsShark like they usually do. So
Right. After watching Clemson get basically nowhere on us, I can't imagine that he's going to be able to get much anywhere. I'll say that they'll probably put 14 points on us, and then we will put up 36-ish. That's my prediction.
36 to 4. So 36 to 14.
Yeah.
Did you just take the under? This another? I think this is another hedge your bets moment where you took the under and then score prediction hits the over.
I'm nothing if not consistent, Jim.
Oh, so good, so good. I love it. Okay.
It's funny when you look at like the matchups on this stuff. It's like based on one game, UAB is got the edge on us on every statistic. Passing yards, total score, time on field, that kind of stuff.
Right. Look at the opponent. Look at the strength of schedule. Strength of schedule.
Yeah, for sure. It's so funny. Okay. Although now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, like there's no way that they're gonna even. Are they gonna score?
That's where the 18 to 22-year-olds thing comes in for me, right? And like how motivated is the defense going to be? Because like you would think, I mean, it's hard to get a shutout. I mean, that's not easy to do, right?
Not to mention, Jim, knock on yourself, but
done.
Please make sure that Jordan Davis is not one of the ones that has COVID.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely a wrench in all of this that we're not going to be able to predict anything off of that. We don't know who it is other than that they're vaccinated players, but we don't know who. Not that we know who isn't vaccinated.
If Jordan Davis suddenly goes off the grid, I will be absolutely throwing myself off the nearest ledge.
Yeah. We'll have to just see there. See, this is where I was going to be. I was almost just going to do a one like you, where I was going to take. I think my score was going to hit the under, where I just took the over, because I actually like. I was going to say 34. It's just funny because you said 34. That was kind of the number I had in my head, but I had 34 to 10, which is also that would hit the under. So we did the inverse. So let's go with that. We'll go with that. We both hedged our bets, and our predictions make no sense, but that's okay.
Again,
that's how we roll. That's how we roll. Well, I don't know. I guess in general we'll have to just keep following this all week, right? I mean, we record a little early, so obviously we're not going to know like.
Everything.
There could definitely, we're not going to know everything and what could happen throughout the week. So the COVID situation obviously is something to watch throughout the week. But in general, I think the general feeling that we had was that the schedule here sits up nicely after the offensive struggles that we had against Clemson. Hopefully to get things right. Get some of these younger players more experience and doing better and get their confidence up, and then obviously in the defense we trust, right? So
I hope that they're up for it. That's the big question mark is are our boys going to be up for it? And historically they are not up for it. So that's my only concern. It being a 3:30 kickoff certainly helps a little bit, If it had been like a
True.
noon kickoff, I probably would have been, ooh, this is kind of a trap game potentially for sure. But
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, we don't have the early kickoff. That should help, and it should help the crowd get more lively as well. We
yeah,
got I mean, first full capacity allowed home game. For Georgia since the before times, and no more doo doo ice, which
which is
I
apparently a thing.
forgot to bring that up. I was not familiar with that term.
I, I,
uh,
I wasn't either. I was like, what the heck are y'all talking about?
yeah, I had no idea. But apparently, the ice changed a few years ago, and people said that the ice smelled bad. Or then I saw there was some debate on was it the ice or the cups. But either way, we will now have now when you get a Coke or whatever kind of beverage, at concessions, you'll have Zaxby's ice. So that was the big announcement from Josh Brooks recently. So
That would
um,
be amazing.
yeah, so I'm looking. That'll be something I'm looking forward to if I do make it. So hopefully I will. If not, I'll definitely go to multiple games this year, this season. But hopefully we'll make it to this one.
Yeah,
If I make it, I'll report back on the ice. Let you know how it was.
keep us posted.
We'll do.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Exactly. All right, man. Well, we'll continue to monitor the news this week and see what's going on. But I don't know. We may not find out until kickoff at any rate. But like we said, hopefully they'll
Fingers
be.
crossed.
Yep. Hopefully they'll have their minds right and bring it for the 3:30 kickoff, and we'll go from there.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.